Hi, and welcome to ECCB Connects, a production of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to share with you who we are, what we do, and how we serve you. How can you use your finances as a tool to improve your overall well-being? On today's episode, we speak with financial experts Luana Laurent of Finance Focus and Melisa Boutin of YourMoneyWorth.com about practical steps that you can take to improve your financial well-being. Stay connected with us. We will share more with you after this short message.
The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is rolling out Dcash, the next step in the evolution of the EC dollar. Use Dcash to send and receive money to and from friends and family. Make payments directly from your smart device. Make payments from wherever you are. Download the app from the Google Play or Apple Store and sign up, or visit dcashec.com for more information. The future of the EC dollar is digital. Let's make history together.
Luana, Melisa, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to be here.
Now, we are at the start of a new year, and we know one of the things lately that has been trending is the whole concept of wellness and mindfulness. People are looking at taking care of themselves more than ever, and that includes health, balancing family life. Now that we've been working from home, many of us due to COVID, we talk about work-life balance, and it also trickles down to the area of finance. People are looking at how they can improve their financial situation. Let's delve into a little bit from your perspective about what that whole concept of financial wellness, what does it mean? And Luana, I'll start with you.
It's a pleasure to be here speaking with ECCB Connects on matters of money and finance. Financial health really is the state of one's personal financial situation. And if we take it a step further, for me, being financially healthy or financially well means being able to make financial decisions with very little stress and anxiety because various indicators are achieved or controlled. That is determined by the level of debt that you have, the amount of savings, the insurance coverage for yourself and your family, spending within one's needs, being prepared for financial emergencies, having a future plan for retirement. It's one of the many things that we can have a checklist for to ensure that we are financially healthy and that we are good with money.
Just like Luana mentioned, all the things that she mentioned is actually what helps you feel good about money in your life. Having savings for emergencies so you don't have to take on debt makes you feel good and brings less stress to your life. So that's the way that I define financial wellness.
So in all, we're looking at ways that we can use our finances, like you said, to just reduce stress, live a better and happier life. As we speak about reducing stress, what are some of the things that you would look for to say that somebody is financially healthy and well? Melisa?
So one of the main things about being financially well is actually living within your means and also recognizing when you need more means to have a happier life. Some of the habits that come into that is learning about what money means to you and how you can use money. Steps like budgeting, paying yourself first. So adding savings as a monthly bill to yourself, just like all your other creditors, keeping it in the family, sharing, your financial resources and support with each other. These are good habits that help you maintain and achieve financial wellness.
One of the first things that I would recommend if we wish to be financially well is to adopt a money mindset. And as Melisa mentioned, living within or beneath your means is also essential because sometimes we find ourselves increasing our expenses at the same record pace whenever we get extra income. And these types of behavior tend to keep us from building wealth or even improving our financial health. So that is one area that I want us to be mindful of when developing that habit, is to have a money mindset. As Melissa mentioned, pay yourself first. I consider myself a bill. The banks, yes, we have the obligation to pay the banks as well, but I consider myself an obligation. So just having that understanding that you deserve to take care of your financial health, similarly to taking care of your mental and physical health, is one of the habits I think that we should employ.
I like the way you said that, considering yourself as a priority, as an obligation, that you too need attention. So you need to pay yourself. Now, when we think about that, and you spoke about having a money mindset, not only settling debts and obligations, but looking at building wealth. Uh, in our region, we see many times, the family structure where one generation from the next just keeps accruing debt. The financial situation for a particular family doesn't seem to improve. Now, from your perspective, why does this happen? And I'll ask Luana, and then Melissa, perhaps you can jump in and speak about how we can break this cycle of indebtedness and start building wealth for our families.
In the Caribbean, having a discussion about money still remains a taboo. You grow up in home and your parents don't want to discuss the bills, or they don't let you know how much they're making for good reason at times. They cannot afford something, and rather than tell you why they cannot afford it or how they can try to afford it, they just tell you, I can't have it, you can't have it, put it back. So it starts with the degree of financial education that we have received from home. It is also not taught in schools. So that also allows us to remain uneducated. And that is one of the areas that we should start. And I'm sure Melissa will agree with me when it comes to personal finance education. That should be on top of our list to teach our children from a young age. Even as adults, we should continue to educate ourselves in terms of paying down debt, saving, investing for the future. Within the region, many people tend to be risk averse. This is not something that we've been taught to do, and we understand the importance of it when it comes to building generational wealth. So we should start on the premise of teaching financial education from a young age. In our families, with our friends, we should have discussions around money. In that way, it will help us to build our future generations.
Yes, thanks so much for that, Luana, and I definitely agree with your points. From my view, and what I would like to add is that my thought is that we as a society or as a region haven't had much practice. Of course, our societies have come from a background of slavery, a background of colonialism, a background where, when, many of our ancestors, whether they were indentured or enslaved, even after emancipation and during the colonial era, we were a society, the massive society, did not have opportunities to gain a lot of income and assets that could then be transferred to future generations. So, for example, maybe my grandfather didn't have any assets that he could pass on to my mother, then who could pass on to me, who she could pass on to me. Of course, that is not the story of every Caribbean person. However, in more recent times, and I would say for you and I generation, Karina, our families over time have been able, or some families have been able to have a home. I know definitely for the Caribbean region and the Eastern Caribbean region, we have high ownership rates of our homes. But one thing that I have observed when it comes to transferring that home or transferring that property from one generation to the other, it does not happen. So although we may not have a lot of maybe liquid assets or stocks or insurance annuities to pass on, the little that we do have in terms of real property. So real property is a house. You know, we're not educated about estate planning. So estate planning is, you know, having a will. Also understanding really how debts work in this more financialized society. And when I say that is, you know, when my grandmother was raising my mother, there were very little opportunities for her to get into debt. The debts that she could get into were maybe owing the shop, you know, having a credit at the shop, maybe borrowing money from a family member. There was no way for my great grandmother to incur a credit card debt. It did not exist. Of course, we know in this more modern life and even in the region, you see, along with the carnival loans or the Christmas loan, they're bundled with credit cards and line of credit. And to be honest, the typical worker or resident does not really have a full understanding of what this debt is. I think we have understanding, and Caribbean people in general, we are good at saving, borrowing, paying back. But you take someone who has that type of experience with borrowing and paying back, and you give them a line of credit that the monthly payment changes depending on how much you use that month. They've never been exposed to it. Their parents have never been exposed to it. And now they're in a bind where applying the same knowledge of, I take a loan for 10,000, I have a fixed payment every month, does not apply to a line of credit. So in addition to saving, in addition to getting knowledge about investments, we also, and you know, our society and the people who are in this financial situation have to get more knowledge about how debt works and maybe how to avoid it more.
I'm glad you raised that point, because my next question goes to that whole situation of wanting to improve your situation, but then sometimes you have to incur debt. And along the way, I know a lot of us sometimes we wait, for instance, till Christmas time to, you know, borrow, and we did not necessarily have a plan, but we go out at Christmas and we incur debt, and then we start the year, you know, on a more lull note. So as we go through the year, what are some practical strategies that persons can use to improve the situation from one year to the next, specifically as it concerns making plans for big spending? Luana?
I like to employ my 5-question tip. Are you ready for it?
I am.
So I like to ask myself, first of all, is this an investment or is it indulgence? Major purchases such as your car or large appliances, mortgages, even student loans can be argued to be investments. But even when it comes to taking on these big ticket items or signing up for them, we need to ensure that we're ready to make that level of investment. Investments add value, indulgence are for instant gratification. Secondly, I like to ask myself, did I plan for this? Am I mentally ready? Do I have the physical space? How will this item that I'm buying make me feel 2 to 6 months from now? And we should also be wary of the unexpected expenses that come up that may derail our plans.
Correct.
We also need to be mindful of how we will replace these items if they are lost. How will we repair these items? So a lot of these things are should be taken into consideration when planning for big ticket items. And the final question that I ask myself at that point is, can it wait? It's as simple as that. Can I wait to purchase this item? We tend to believe that sales and deals are only given during seasonal times like Christmas and Thanksgiving. But yes, did you know that these sales are always available? And one of the apps that I use called Honey, it has saved me a lot of money. What the app does is that it's a plugin on your computer. So when you sign into Amazon or any retail site, it tracks price trends to show you that this price has been either going up or down for that period of time. And I've proven the efficiency of that app over Christmas. I logged into Amazon looking at a particular item that said there was like 60% savings on it. But when I looked at the app, it actually showed that the price was spiked at the latter end and then brought back down to show like there was this huge savings. So when planning for large purchases or any type of purchases, there are some mechanisms that we can employ to safeguard ourselves from making decisions that will derail our finances.
Very excellent advice. Melisa?
What I would like to encourage those thinking about changing their money habits this year is to set a goal or figure out what goals you have for your money and write it down. You can write it down in a composition book, a journal, or in your notes app on your phone. Determine what the goal is. It might be next Christmas, I'm going to be shopping for the things that I want. No if, no but. But this is how much it's going to cost, and I'm going to start saving towards it right now. If your budget for spending next Christmas is going to be $5,000, figure out if a certain monthly amount is going to help you meet that goal of spending in cash, or if you want to pay down the debts that you have now so that you don't have to use debt next year or have that debt while you're shopping next year or the end of this year. Write down those goals and work towards them.
Luana and Melisa, thank you so much for joining us on ECCB Connects and for sharing with us as we embark on a new year the importance of financial education and making yourself a priority in order to ensure your financial wellness. Thank you again.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here, and Happy New Year to everyone.
And now for this week's financial tip.
Don't underestimate the cost of retirement. Chances are you'll live to be 80 or 90 and will need at least 70% of your current income to finance your retirement. Social Security generally covers less than 30%. Plan for your retirement.
We've come to the end of this week's episode of ECCB Connects. Be sure to follow us on social media at ECCB Connects. Thanks for watching, and join us next week when we bring you another program.